So, welcome to today. I'm Christine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are Double Defense. We're an all female New York Rangers podcast, bringing you fun conversation about our New York Rangers, the NHL and hockey, and so much more. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, we are Double Defense. We are actually technically Triple Defense, but we can get into that later. Christine and I met on a New York Rangers hockey message board on Facebook called Ladies of the Rangers, and wound up meeting at a game last year and just had the most fantastic time talking hockey and being so excited to meet other female fans. We decided to start this podcast, and then we had the good fortune of meeting Sarah. We are here to bring you a sort of female perspective about the New York Rangers, the NHL, and a lot more.
Yeah, as I recall, it was such a quick meeting. There was definitely something there because there was this kind of misconnection, but this wanting to kind of make sure we did connect and keep it going.
None of us are in New York, which is funny. Christine and I are transplanted New Yorkers living in Southern California. Sarah is in Calgary. So none of us are actually in New York. We found our hockey communities. And I think one of the things we're also appreciative of is the community of women in hockey. And it really is a growing community. It's getting more and more attention from the NHL. People are really starting to pay attention to, women in the sport and having sort of a different perspective than a lot of men do. And we are absolutely excited to, chat with our male friends and colleagues about hockey. But we kind of wanted to create a space where we could talk about a few more things from a slightly different perspective.
Yeah, expanding from our table talk, amongst the group of, the small group of people, the conversation casually at a table of hockey friends involves men and women. And the conversation is great, especially when you know the sport, and you know your team, and we get heated and we get excited. And to bring that to a forum where we can collaborate too with other people that have the knowledge and the desire and just the excitement of a team that they're passionate about, even beyond the Rangers. I love seeing that.
This preseason has been a little bit all over the place. I think if we had recorded this last week, I might have had a very different opinion on what I've been seing. So Christine, what have you been seeing in the preseason up until now?
I asked a question out on social media, like who people were liking. Half of who they liked are gone, or kind of got sent on the bus home. You have your couple of your standouts. What I'm seeing is people are already complaining. Hey, it's preseason. In fact, one of the interesting topics of TNT was, why do we even play preseason?
Why is it so long? Why
and that was an interesting thing too. I mean, it's made to see how your prospects are going to fare well with some of the players. Years ago, I remember going to preseason games. You never saw anybody that was a regular season player. It was all new players. And now everyone's ragging on them already because they've been losing, but it's preseason. So it's just them warming up, getting a feel for each other and how they'll work their, you should be out what line. You figure it out along the way. I was going to see a lot of change-ups this season, I think, with the lines and how Gallant's going to do things. It's all in his head and he's keeping it to himself. Just like last season, how, everyone was giving accolades to the Lightning. I'm like, yeah, but they're starred seasons that they won. There were abbreviated, games. They didn't play a certain team. You can claim a title, but it's starred. So this will be the first real full back to almost normal kind of season that we have. And that makes it even more exciting too. So we'll see how people are traveling back and forth to games and seats are full and people are cheering. Yeah, it's going to be exciting everywhere.
What are you thinking? Are there any bold predictions for the season upcoming?
The other day in our group chat, we were talking about Rangers and Pittsburgh both being favored in their division. I do think New York's going to finish pretty strong. I'd be surprised if they weren't in the top two for their division. I'm really surprised that Toronto division that they're listed as number one, planning that parade already.
Yeah, but they do that every year.
It's typical though. Yes.
We feel for Maple Leafs fans. We feel for you. We really, really do.
I don't.
We do. Fine.
Says the Canadian.
Yeah.
It's fine. I definitely have a Toronto correspondent if we need at one point in time to see how they're handling the choke aspect of the team year to year. And they actually have good prediction. They have good numbers on some of the boards to kind of, outplay some of the favored. That's a little bit more work to kind of look at the other divisions too. It's interesting when during the season prior to last, where we were just kind of only playing our own division, which I hated everything about that. I never focused on anything but ours. We played the same teams over and over again in that that abbreviated and minimized season. Last year was exciting to come out back to regular schedule for the most part. And we even saw like momentum kind of stop. I mean, one of the things I was aggravated about was we had a good stretch of wins against Islanders, and then the games were canceled and rescheduled. When you lose that momentum, we could have been a different story in how we even ended up and how we played. The ifs, ands, buts are all past us. We go forward. This again should be one of the first clean seasons we've had in 3 years. So that has bearing as well. Going back to hockey parent days or youth hockey, there was a coach that said early on, the kids have to learn to hate to lose. And kind of got that feeling at the end of the season. But, you know, we saw some really outstanding effort. Again, we have it spread across our team in general, where we see things differently with other people. You don't see that one person, you know, taking all the shots and handing the puck so they can do all the scoring. And that sometimes when Panarin misses misses a net and hits a post, everyone's all over them for it. They learned, they got to a point, they're so young, they got to this point where they saw it in their eyes. You saw the looks on their faces. I think they're more determined. They're being pushed harder. Kakko's one of them. Kakko came out of being pulled out. I think he was number 2 pick, you know, in his year, and we got him, and he was a phenom, and he's been level set. So now he seems to be coming into his position. I think they were talking about him moving up to the first line, which I think is a great combo with Kreider and Zibanejad if they're playing them. That's what I see Gallant, I think, is going to do. It's going to start pushing Hedel. He's going to push Kakko. He's going to push some of these other people and push them to the limits to see what they can do. So I think with that, we're going to start seeing some personal goals being met and exceeded. That's my bold prediction is seeing them surpass what they did last season, especially, you know, like Panarin and Kreider. I think they're determined, especially Kreider.
Kreider. Absolutely. I think the Kreider-Zibanejad romance is alive and well. I think that their chemistry looks absolutely amazing. I hope that they become sort of role models and mentors for some of the younger guys on the team, because
I think they already are, you know. Yeah. You see it. They highlight it when they're the last off the ice and how they cheer and they're consistent about everything.
Yeah. Can we also talk about Micah's hair? Because it was on point during the preseason. Absolutely on point. Flowy, luxurious, shining. These are all.
I think it's strength. It's just an extra strength in that length.
I thought he had a wind machine there in the first period of that first game, honestly. And it's Head and Shoulders approaching him. I'd love to see him and Troy Polamalu do a commercial together. They both have beautiful hair.
Our first official season game is October 11th against the Lightning. I think that'll be great. I think that will rekindle a couple of old rivalries. I think the crowd's going to be really into it. I think we're going to see a crowd that's picking up right where we left off in the playoffs. We are going to do a wine pairing of every game because that is the priority.
Yes.
as always, as hockey fans. So our wine pairing of the game is going to be, I'm going with the Dow Cabernet Sauvignon because it's very bold, has a little bit of bitterness. I think it's going to be robust enough to tackle a game as big and sort of as small as this. Being the first game, there's going to be still some kinks to be worked out, but there is a little bit of history, a little bit of angst, I think, in that. I think that bottle would be a very good pairing.
That's a good pairing. We'll have to add beer in there too, you know. So
I was just thinking
I think there's some IPA. I think there's some IPAs that'll apply to people, you know, some of these teams too in games along the way. Yes.
And definitely. Of course, if anybody listening to this has any thoughts about the wine pairing or alcohol beer pairing or your non-alcoholic beverage of choice, whatever it might be, please feel free to reach out to us.
I think the Penguins games might go up to hard liquor.
Is that a whiskey for you, Christine?
I think so. I think vodka, whiskey. I think, you know, we'll just up it a little bit, especially since we have a little, you know, a little
rivalry.
Rivalry going on.
So many predictions that Penguins are going to finish right behind New York. I was just going back a second to predictions. I saw the Flames being predicted number 1 for their division, and I think that's such a stretch. But the Kadri move to Calgary has lit a lot of people, you know, kind of reignited that flame, I think, for the game.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting everywhere. So looking forward to goal songs and cheers and even focusing on more games, which this podcast, I think, is going to kind of bring more attention to things and a little bit more research and learning.
Please reach out to us on social media. We'll put links to everything everywhere. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We will be on Facebook. Please reach out. It's Double DFense NYR. And yeah, we're looking forward to a great season. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So welcome to today. I'm Christine.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are Double DFense. We're an all-female